Hello, welcome back to Swiss Watch King with another review for you guys. Today we're gonna speak about a brand which is very dear to my heart. It's actually one of the first brands I also visited during my first Basel World. We're gonna be talking about URWERK. You see on the side you have a big picture of the watch, and below that there is a picture of the next watch we'll be reviewing. If you know which watch this is, comment down below. Today we have in our hands the URWERK UR-202S, a very special model, and I'm going to explain to you all the details and how it functions in a bit. Let me tell you a bit about URWERK now firstly. So URWERK is founded by Felix Baumgartner and Martin Frei, both born in the German part of Switzerland, one in Schaffhausen and the other in Winterthur. It's actually not so far away from me where I live. We are based in Zurich. Felix's role in the company is the master watchmaker basically, and Martin is more of a creative designer. And together they have this perfect combination of two crazy guys basically who know their stuff, their industries, and also who, you know, combining watchmaking with Martin's also vision and Felix's ideas. You know, you come up with models and a brand like URWERK, which is really out there and very unique. The first watch they launched was actually in Basel World, 1997. And they actually, from what I heard online and in some other YouTube videos, is that they also exhibited with Sven Andersen, who is also a part of the academy. If you think about the year 97, you don't see a watch similar to this fitting in that, you know, period at all. It was actually the first brand who came up with this avant-garde design, and they were really different than their competitors. The first watch they came out with was the UR-101, which had this wandering hours display. Basically, the lower side of the dial, if we can call it that, because it was like a covered case basically, was covered, and the top, let's say from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock, 2:30, there was the time indication. It was basically a wandering hour, a ring that went from 0 to 60 minutes, and when that disappeared, the other one came up. Felix Baumgartner is a third-generation watchmaker, and his dad actually restored antique clocks. That's where also the inspiration comes for the Wandering Hours model, which they first created. It comes from a vintage clock. I think it's from the 17th century, like a night clock. The model I have in my hands was, from what I know, introduced in 2010. It came in two variants. This is one of them, which is fully stainless steel, polished and brushed, and the other one came full black version. They were limited to 50 pieces together, so this model is limited to 25 pieces. Very hard to find, you know, with the bracelet especially. And back in the day when this watch was introduced, the retail price used to be around 145,000 US dollars. Nowadays, if you can find one of these pieces, because again, this is a 2010 model, you should be ready to spend around 100,000 US dollars. A fun fact also about this specific model is that this is the first URWERK that has a bracelet, which before this was made, they used leather straps. The model here is actually called the UR-202S, and S, which you can see in the top left corner here, actually stands for the stripes that go vertically down the whole watch. What definitely strikes you the most when you see this watch is the way the case is shaped, and also of course the time indication, because when you first see it you're like, where are the hours, where are the minutes, how they read it, but after you get used to it, it's really easy. The case of URWERK's watches in general, you know, is basically something out of a sci-fi show, and just it's out of this world, like literally, you know. There's no brand that does case designs like this. There's a few watch brands out there in the independent world which have a similar, let's say, spaceshipy look, if I can call it like that. It's URWERK. One of them is also Debutune, and one of them is MVNF. There's also some, let's say, Romain Germain models, but again, URWERK's specialty is really this extraterrestrial, you know, design. Basically it's a spaceship for your wrist, and really something nobody's doing, really unique, and that's also collectors around the world love them. So how do you finally, let's say, read the time on this watch? It's actually pretty easy. On this central rotating, let's say, pyramid, you have 3 cubes for which you see now. On these cubes, you have the hour indication. And here on the bottom, you have the minute indication, which goes from, of course, 0 to 60. So once you want to know the time, you just look at the cube and you look at where the telescopic titanium hand is pointing to. So in this instance, it's now 2 o'clock and 15 minutes. What you also have on the dial is here on the bottom right corner, you have the night and day indicator, and on this side you have the moon phase indicator. You also see a few different styles of finishing, brushed, bead blasted, and also below this rotating center construction, you have, from what I recognize, perlage. The crown is positioned at 12 o'clock here, as is known for mostly all the URWERKs so far as I know. There are a few exceptions, of course, to the rule, but I think most of them have this position here. So take a good look now at the dial, and you're gonna see in a moment how the whole thing starts living when you turn the crown. Like I said, the minute hand is actually a telescopic hand, which extends and then retracts back again as it passes these corner areas here. So now it's 2 o'clock and 15 minutes. When I turn the crown like this, it goes to 2:30, 2:45, and then the other one follows up. It's now 3 o'clock, as you can see on the right side of the watch. If you now observe the cubes, this one is a 3, this one is a 2, meaning it was 2 o'clock and now it's 3 o'clock 00 or 03 minutes. And this one is now at 10. So what happens is if you look at this upper cube, it will slowly turn in position for the next number. So number 4. You see, it's very easy. So if you want to know the time, you just basically look at this lower part of the watch. Now it's 4:30 o'clock. What I also love about URWERK is, the 3D dial. It's really deep. You can see a lot of architecture in the dial. You can see they put a lot of thought to it, and it's not flat. It's like a mini city, or like I said before, like a spaceship. And it's cool to see the minute hands, and when they extract and retract, they disappear under the case here. What's also special about this model is that when you see the crystal, the sapphire crystal on top, actually had to be cut specifically for this case, of course. The nickname of this model is also hammerhead, inspired by, you guessed it, the shark. For those who are wondering, this watch is actually an automatic movement. It has a unidirectional winding rotor and what URWERK calls a turbine automatic. When you see on the bottom, you have these turbine-shaped, I don't even know how to call these things. The whole idea behind these turbines and the lever here, which URWERK lets you control yourself, is to protect the movement. So when you are in a calm environment, you're working at your desk, you basically open up the watch so you can wind it. These turbines, from what I understand, are kind of connected to the rotor, and if you're not moving a lot, you have to, let's say, open them up, and so they move a bit more, and the winding rotor moves a bit more as well, and winds your watch, of course. When you do a sporty activity, you push the lever to the other side, where you can see the whole thing turns red. And that's, I think, from what I understand, and I'm going to also give a link in the description below so you guys can read on it. It stops the rotation of the winding rotor, so you don't damage the movement while doing a sporty activity. What's also a cool fact to know is that Michael Jordan is actually owner of, from what I know, at least one URWERK watch, and Jackie Chan is a huge owner. It was one of the watches was actually in a few of his movies. There's a few celebrity owners as well. I think Ralph Lauren has 1 or 2. Mo Salah, the football player, has 1 or 2 as well. It's cool to see, let's say, your everyday celebrities embracing a brand, that's out there like this. And they're not sponsored by it. If you're also a fan of the Marvel movies like Iron Man and Avengers, you might, be actually surprised because URWERK was actually featured on Robert Downey Jr.'s wrist during the movie Endgame, and I think Iron Man as well. It was actually his choice to choose URWERK as one of the watches featured in the movie. As you can imagine, from what I also think is the situation, many brands, presented their products for him to wear. But choosing URWERK for me is, a logical choice. Let me show you guys how this watch looks on the wrist. Again, the first URWERK with a stainless steel bracelet, or bracelet at all. It has a butterfly clasp, very comfortable, with the URWERK logo at the bottom. The case dimensions are actually 43.5 millimeters wide and let's say only 15 millimeters high. It actually goes under your jacket like you see here now. What's also cool is, again, just the uniqueness URWERK's watches present on a wearer's wrist. You will never see, something very similar to this. And also, if you happen to find a guy who's wearing an URWERK, you will most definitely approach him and you will be friends, in a second. This was it for today's review, guys, of this beautiful, creation, which is the 202S from URWERK. If you have any questions about this particular model, leave a comment down below. Also, I'm gonna link up the website and the Instagram in my description, so be sure to check them out. It's, I think, worth a discovery. Thank you for watching and see you soon.